Welcome to the Knights of the Round Table first podcast. We are starting up a new series of podcasts that we will have different topics from Doctor Who, science fiction, fantasy, comic books, and so on. And today's topic is superhero movies, and namely DC versus Marvel. So we have a few people joining me today. My name is Ken Parker. I have Rob Claffey Jr., Jeff Zyra, Kurt Zyra, and Vernon Hill all together to talk about what's coming up for movies in the next couple of years and what has been out from Marvel and DC. And so let's get going. We have Marvel and DC movies. Does anyone have a preference of which movies they like better? And
Green Lantern, the animated series.
The animated series, yeah?
Because it's like in cartoon, and it's on like every Saturday mornings.
Mm-hmm.
And whenever I get up, I might like go downstairs and watch TV and watch it.
Okay.
I don't really have a preference for DC or Marvel movies. If the name's not there, I couldn't tell the difference.
Yeah. That brings up a good point. Who here is a big comic book fan?
I am.
Jeff and Kurt. You're not.
A little bit. I used to be, not as much as I used to.
Yeah, you used to be.
Yeah, I used to be too, but not as much. So you don't have any. When you go in to see a movie, you're kind of just like maybe Vern and I a little bit. You've heard about the characters, but you really don't have anything invested in it in terms of you're not going, oh, the costume's wrong or whatever.
I mean, like for example, like when Spider-Man came out with Tobey Maguire, I remember. I know the. How Spider-Man starts, so I have an idea with the story, so I'm like, yep, they covered that point, yep, they covered that point. I don't think I could say for sure whether they got one part more right or more wrong than any other.
Yeah.
I actually prefer going to see, it doesn't matter more for order cases, I'll go watch both movies for superheroes. So.
Yeah. So I think we're all in kind of the same boat. I mean, it's
for
not...
me, it's mostly more what superhero do I want to see rather than which comic book series they belong to.
Yeah.
As long as the character is true, sort of close to the comic book, because you don't have to dumb it down for the casual movie-going audience. I mean, costume, not so much is going to bother you, but as long as the character is kind of close, like for example, Spider-Man was pretty close, and Batman's been pretty close. Green Lantern. Sort of.
They screwed up the Hulk.
The Hulk was horrible.
Yeah.
Both Hulks.
Yeah.
It wasn't the Hulk.
No, it was something. It was
You didn't like the second Hulk?
Second Hulk was okay.
The first one, though, Ang Lee, it was like he created a different character.
The second Hulk actually had a story, but it was just like it was alright. I mean, the story wasn't that great. At least it was better than the first one. Where the first one was like, oh, we gotta find a villain for the Hulk to fight midway through the movie. It's just pitiful.
Because I think it's better to not know about the characters, really. Like, Green Lantern was probably the character I knew least about watching the movie. I didn't care if it had done anything different because I didn't know better. I would just watch the movie, and if I thought it was a halfway decent superhero movie, which I thought it was, I came away, I don't think it's the best movie in the world, but I think it's pretty good. So no one really has any preference between Marvel and DC, but both franchises have kind of done different things. I think Marvel has done a really good job with their new Avengers movie series in creating a build-up to a big movie. And I'm pretty sure DC would like to do the same thing.
Try to build up a Justice League type movie.
But they're so far behind when it comes to Marvel, because Marvel is already there. We're at that movie, and they're already planning Iron Man 3 and I think Thor 2. And so everything's on a roll with those movies. But where is DC when it comes to making a Justice League movie?
Well, maybe they'll start next summer with Superman.
Yeah.
And part of the problem is he stumbled so badly with the last Superman.
And then the next year, another Superman or Batman.
Yeah.
But so what if they're behind the ball with the Justice League? I mean, it's apples and oranges between the Justice League and this Avengers thing, so what?
Well, for one, they don't even have a Wonder Woman movie. They don't even have a Wonder Woman movie in production. She's a member of the Justice League.
And so maybe they'll introduce her for the Justice League.
Maybe they should have a Wonder Woman movie.
Yeah. Well, I think when it comes to Justice League, who do they have in the Justice League? I'm not that familiar. I mean, do you need to have Superman and Batman and Wonder Woman? Do you have to have Aquaman? And do you see an Aquaman movie coming out and doing well?
No, you don't need to have Aquaman, but you need Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman. That's the main heroes for in Green Lantern and the Flash. They could easily just do it with 5 numbers.
And who are going to be the Wonder Twins?
Well,
Please.
so, but for DC, like you said, we're not even anywhere near a Wonder Woman. Batman's would have to reset first before we had Batman, because I don't think what's his name would.
No, this is Christian Bale's last Batman.
Yeah, he's not going to do unless they pay him
They'll have to
billions of dollars.
The whole Batman universe again.
Yeah.
Well, it depends on what you read and believe about what they're going to do with the movie, which we shouldn't get into.
Oh, and you killing him?
No.
Spoilers?
There's...
That's one thing I have a problem with a lot of these superhero movies. They do a run, and then they reboot it. And they do a run, and they reboot it. Like, do we really need to restart Spider-Man over from scratch? Can we just have this new guy take over where Tobey Maguire left off? And that's the one thing, when you're talking about the comparison between the movie and the comic book it came from. Now when I see the new Spider-Man, I'm going to be doing comparisons of what this one was like compared to what Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man was.
Well, the problem with Spider-Man is that Marvel doesn't own the movie rights. Sony does. So Sony can do whatever they want. That's why they can't interact Spider-Man with the Avengers at all. Because it's 2 different studios making the movie.
So Spider-Man is his own thing? Like, he can't do the DC stuff and he can't do the Marvel stuff?
Yeah. He can't do the Marvel stuff because Sony owns the rights to it.
Well,
It's like one of the big mistakes that Marvel made.
Unless they agree to do it. Which probably wouldn't happen. But I think the reason they reboot these movies, Batman and Superman especially, and Spider-Man, is because if you look at the movie series, they start to not do as well. Spider-Man 2, Spider-Man 3, and some executive says, boy, the first one did so well, let's reboot. It's just like when they come out with comic books, we're going to do issue 1 again of Superman. Why do that? Well, because everyone's going to buy issue 1 because it's a collector's edition, which it really isn't. It's just a gimmick. It's a fake thing. But that's the same thing with the movies. Now they're coming out with a brand new Spider-Man. They want to start from scratch. They don't want to have to pay so much money to all the existing characters. They want to start, and maybe it's easier to start completely from scratch. And I don't know if they'll. I mean, I think it's an origin again.
It is.
And when they did Superman, Superman wasn't an origin. Was it Return of Superman?
Return with Brandon Routh?
Yeah, that wasn't an origin story. The next one is, but this one and Batman was an origin story, but
they didn't do really the origin story for the first Batman movie.
So I mean, I don't like the reboots so frequent either because it just doesn't seem like they're progressing along. It's but that's the reason that they do it is because they want more money and they want to be able to pay people less, and executives feel they want to be in control, and so when someone else takes it over, they want to be able to change everything in their direction. So.
Yeah, because in the new Spider-Man movie, Mary Jane's not going to be there. It's going to be Gwen Stacy instead, and he didn't meet her in high school. He met her when he was an adult, or more like when he was in college, not in high school.
So they're screwing with the canon.
More or less.
And we have other Marvel hero movies too, like X-Men and Fantastic Four. I mean, I think there's been talk about rebooting Fantastic Four again.
Which they should, because
it didn't really do anything to be rebooted. It would just be. There's only the one, right?
Two.
Oh.
It shows you how well it did, if you're
right.
And X-Men they've rebooted with X-Men First Class.
But that was actually pretty good because it went back to the beginning.
But then they did the origin story with Wolverine, and I'm presuming that didn't do very well. And they were planning on doing.
Okay, they're doing another one.
Yeah,
it was a bad movie though.
Yeah, but it made enough money for them to do the second one.
Yeah, it always comes down to the money.
But they didn't do the Wolverine origin in the X-Men movies.
Right.
One of the things I like that Marvel has done is they also come out with a lot of lower budget, low profile Marvel movies that they release like in February and March, and some of those are pretty good. I mean,
some of them suck really bad.
Well, some of them are really bad, but I mean, they came out with Daredevil, they came out with Elektra, Ghost Rider, Punisher movies. I thought the last Punisher movie was really good. The Punisher.
Jonah Hex.
Well,
That was DC.
DC, yeah.
Yeah, but all those movies you just named sucked. Daredevil.
Really? I thought some
I
of them
loved
were pretty
Daredevil.
good.
That was a great one.
Yeah, I
But
thought
it wasn't true, really, to his character.
Yeah, but
they really dropped
he had a
the
better
ball.
outfit.
the majority of the people who watch the movie don't know anything about the comic book.
That's right.
So
But they didn't do good because they didn't make a second one.
We're also depending
That's
on those
okay.
people to kickstart interest in the movie in some ways.
who, the comic book people?
Yeah.
But you know, there's a second Ghost Rider movie coming out.
Yeah, they came out.
It already came
They
out.
bombed.
So we're waiting for number 3.
There won't be.
Straight to video.
I don't know if there'll be a number 3 on that.
Well, I like what Marvel was doing by having all their movies linked.
Yeah.
Like Iron Man. I mean, the Avengers movie is supposed to, at the end, they said it's going to link into Iron Man 3.
Yeah, so Marvel is on top of things right now. I think they really got it. DC doesn't have to do that, but DC wants to do that because they look at Marvel. I mean, you look at the battle. There's like a battle going on, and who's doing like this year is unbelievable. The number of movies, and Marvel has a lot of really good movies coming out, and they have a whole series, so they have the momentum. DC is kind of sputtering a little bit, but when they do come out with a movie like The Dark Knight was just off the charts when it came to box
200
office.
million plus.
Yeah. Now, how much of that was the fact that it was a really good movie, or that Batman's very successful, or could it have been because everyone wanted to see Heath Ledger?
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, maybe a mixture of all of them, but I don't know how well this Batman movie will do.
I think it's going to be huge. It might even be bigger than the Avengers.
Really?
Yeah.
Now, is it opening too close to Spider-Man though? Aren't the two of them opening like within a couple of weeks of each other?
Maybe.
I don't know.
Because I think, I mean, I don't know how important it is, because I think
I thought Spider-Man was coming out for 4th of July and Batman was coming out in June.
Yeah.
Or were they coming out at the same time? Yeah, you're probably right.
they're not the same weekend, but they're within like I think they're within a couple of weeks. And for us, that doesn't matter, because if we were interested in seeing both movies, we will go see both movies. But the general audience tends to like, well, what are we going to see?
Flavor of the week.
Yeah, and
plus Prometheus is going to be around that time too.
yeah, there's a lot of
There's
other
like
ones.
a lot of movies coming out that's just going to be a
Men
lot
in Black, and just it's.
And when the first one opens up, it'll be really good. And when the second one opens up, that one will do very well. And the first one will probably tail off.
Yeah.
And so it might be believed that the first one stinks because it started strong and then fell apart when it was just a case of bad timing.
Yeah. But they must know that. They move movies all the time because they're too close to other big blockbuster movies. Like, nothing's against the Avengers, I don't think. Nothing, no superhero movies anyway. So Avengers will have plenty of time to, at least a month anyways, to accumulate loads of money.
G.I. Joe coming out, which is another comic book movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Well, that raises another question. Is it going to get to the point where the market's saturated? Is some sort of superhero fatigue?
Well, we'll find out come the summertime.
I remember back on TV when you had the X-Files and a whole bunch of other science fiction TV shows, and they just started kind of like falling by the wayside because people just got sick.
this will be a good test this year, because if the movies can survive the year and do blockbuster numbers, and they have to do blockbuster numbers, if they make, only 100 million, that might not be enough to be a blockbuster. They have to really, but if they can do really well, they'll keep going. Of course, they're already planning all these other movies, so we may not see this drought of people getting uninterested in superhero movies until next year and the year after. And eventually, history shows that eventually the superhero movies will die out. It's just, when are they going to do it?
Well, I can see next year's Superman not getting the numbers that the movies this year are getting. Just for the fact that people say, well, the last Superman movie sucked. So
That's a big thing. It's been too soon, maybe, or I don't know how many people thought the movie was really bad. I mean, I didn't like it that much at all. Return of Superman, but
I mean, it was almost a clone of the first movie.
And that's the end of part 1. Please look forward to part 2, which will be out in a couple of days. Thank you.